Hello everyone, I'm MVL and this is the worst fake game I have ever seen. Stick around to the end guys, you will not believe how ridiculous the contents of this box are. But before we get on to this, I have a little bit of backstory and I'm going to show you some other fake games so you know exactly what to look out for when you want to avoid something like this. It is unreal, it's unbelievable, you will not believe what this looks like. But first, my friends, let's talk a little bit about how I came to acquire this fake game on the Game Boy Advance. Now, who would fake a Van Helsing game? Well, probably when it came out, I imagine. But I did go to a seller recently that had a bunch of fake in-demand games. For the N64, they had Mario Party 2, they had Conker's Bad Fur Day, and they had a bunch of Game Boy complete in-box Pokemon games. You know, it looked too good to be true. And it was. They were very blatant fake games. The cartridges didn't look right, the plastic didn't look right, the labels were wrong, and I had to point it out to the seller. The story they told me was that they got a bunch of games in from one person, and as it turned out, when I examined them, they did turn out to be not legitimate cartridges. Now, I showed on my smartphone to the seller what the cartridges should look like, and the ones that they had, you know, they had obvious things missing, like the Nintendo seal of quality on the front of the label, and, you know, it was just very blatant. In fact, I picked up that Van Helsing game in another location where I bought a bunch of Game Boy Advance games together, and that one turned out to be fake, and they just bought a load of stuff in together, and that one was just fake. But, you know, that one was so good when I discovered it, because I saw it as I walked out the door, how off it was, and you won't believe it. But anyway, let's have a look at some more fake games, and I will point out the sort of things you want to look out for when you want to avoid a fake. So I have a couple of Game Boy reproductions here. This one is Lufia, and there's some very obvious things wrong with this as well. You know, instead of Game Boy on the top here, it says Game. And, you know, I got a couple of these together. I got Magical Chase here as well. This was translated into English. And Shantae here as well. Now, the obvious thing about this cartridge as well is this should be a Game Boy Color cartridge, so it should be transparent. These are very obvious fakes. I'm going to show you a couple of fakes here. So it's going to look like I have a lot of them, but, you know, this is only a couple out of my collection, and sometimes I pick them up just to see what they're going to be like in this instance as well. But yes, actually I do have a copy of Shantae coming to me from Limited Run Games. They have a licensed reproduction coming for that out, so I'm very excited about that. But yes, so these are very obvious, very obvious. You can tell what's wrong with those instantly, and I think that's fine as well. When a reproduction is honest about being a reproduction. You have a couple of multi-cartridges and things like this out and around. I picked this one up just to see what was on it. It seemed quite interesting, and this one of course has the Game Boy logo on it, as it should do, but it doesn't have any seal of quality or stickers on it. It's very obviously just a multi-cart that was made after the fact, which is kind of cool. There's some good stuff on it, a couple of Japanese exclusives on this, so I quite like this. Here's another reproduction cartridge. Actually, another one I have a legitimate copy on the way. Retrobit just did a licensed reproduction of this, so I have one of those coming to me. Very excited about that. And again, this is a very obvious reproduction, and I don't mind that because this is trying to be a reproduction. This is trying to bridge the gap between the incredibly expensive secondhand market and accessibility. So I think to a certain extent this is fine, and this seems to be more in like a VHS, like a video case, than it is in like the original case. So you can really tell that this case is not right from the beginning. And then if we get a look at the cartridge here, you can tell the cartridge is really weird. The logo, the cover I should say, of this cartridge is printed in extremely poor quality, and then on the back here, for some inexplicable reason, it says 16-bit instead of anything else. So very weird, very interesting. But I actually don't mind this because you can tell straight by looking at it. You know, it shouldn't look like this. There's nothing right about how this looks. But somehow it's not quite as bad as that Van Helsing cartridge I'm going to show you in a moment. Here's a little bit of a better bootleg. I believe this to be a bootleg, and this is Raiden Trad. Now, there's a couple of things on this cartridge that are really off from what it should be. The main thing that's actually quite hard to tell is that the the numbers here, the barcode is not right. It's for another game, and this seller I got this from actually, he told me straight away this is a bootleg, and I was like, cool. I actually kind of like the look of this one, and I picked it up anyway. But he could scan the barcode, and it came up as barcode for another game. So they couldn't get that barcode. They put another one on. And the cartridge, there's a telltale sign on the cartridge here as well. The cartridge is pretty interesting, but the cartridge, I believe, should have the Mega Drive logo on it as well. It's pretty interesting, and there's that. So I actually quite like this, and this is an awesome game anyway. So I wanted to pick it up, and I didn't. I got it cheap. I didn't pay the secondhand price, and that's what you should with a bootleg or something like that. And another multi-cart here from the same location I got Raid and Trad from, actually. Just picked this up to see what was on it. Some cool games on it, and it was very cheap as well. Again, this is a case of this cartridge. You can tell that this is not how this cartridge should look. Another thing it has here is you can tell when they like stretch images that they would never do that on a real cartridge. Just 4-in-1 as it's called, and the back looks pretty interesting as well. Some weird cartridge. But yes, the main event, as you will, the Van Helsing cartridge for the Game Boy Advance. Now, there's a couple of very interesting things about this cartridge, which is very cool. Now, from the front, I did think that this was legit. That's how I picked it up. It was actually in a cabinet with the other Game Boy games I picked up, Game Boy Advance games, I should say, that I picked up. They were real, and this one, instantly you could tell it was not. One weird thing is that the localization information on the side doesn't match up to the ESRB rating on the front, which was weird. But it gets even weirder. So the bottom of the box, this method on the box is not correct. That's not how the cardboard should be at the bottom there. Very strange. The flap is incorrect, but it gets much weirder, my friends, much weirder. Let's take a look at the back of the box. Now check this out. This is absolutely bizarre. So as you can probably tell, the images on the back of this box are not that of Van Helsing on the Game Boy Advance. I want to say that this game here on this side of the box is probably Metal Slug or something like that, and I don't know what these three images on the other side are. This game looks really cool. As a matter of fact, I was actually kind of hoping, because I only paid £6 for this cartridge, so I wasn't bothered, because as soon as I had a look at it and took it out of the door where I bought it from, I knew it wasn't real. But as soon as I took it out of the shop, I knew it wasn't real, but I was like, you know what, this is kind of cool. I did tell the shopkeeper that it was not real, but I picked it up regardless. I actually was kind of hoping that this game would be on the cartridge. If you know what that game is, let me know, because it looks really cool. So the game does work. It is Van Helsing as it should be. I find it really crazy that they couldn't get the images for Van Helsing on the Game Boy Advance, so they just put anything on the back, like anything that's kind of like actiony, and then anything that's kind of gothic, I guess, on this side. And they were like, you know what? People won't know the difference. Well, there's a big difference, because these are very much 2D style games, and Van Helsing has a kind of almost isometric style 3D to it. So it's very blatant, the difference, which is kind of funny. Yes, so let's take a look at the inside here, and it gets weirder as we go along. It gets weirder. We're going to save the absolute best till last. And let's have a look at the cartridge. So the cartridge is an instant giveaway that this is not the real deal. So let's take a look at this cartridge right here. So the biggest thing that's missing on the front of this cartridge is any kind of version information, European, USA, what have you, and the Nintendo seal of quality. It's just not what the cartridge should look like on the front. In fact, it should be black with the Van Helsing logo on and the aforementioned seal of quality to say that it's real, and of course any information like that. And yes, just to prove my point, I will take my Game Boy Advance here and turn this on to prove to you that this game works as it should, which is kind of unfortunate. I did want to see the game that was on the back of the box instead. So here you can see that indeed the game does load up as it should do on the Game Boy Advance SP, and it is Van Helsing at that. So there you go. We'll press the start button here and get into the game. And I can show you what the graphics do look like on this game. They are indeed 3D, not like the 2D that we saw on the back. So it was a very, very weird choice. Now I'm going to have some overlaid footage here from the Game Boy player on the GameCube, but as you can see, the game on the Game Boy Advance looks very different to how it should. So that's pretty crazy right there. And I saved the most crazy thing till last because this is the thing that generally made me laugh out loud. I could not believe what they did here. And it's with the manual. So the first weird thing about the manual, and it's not the most weird thing about the manual, is they just took the same cover art from the front of the box and they stretched it, which is one of those indications you can tell that something isn't legitimate. And it's actually kind of funny that they have any customer service stuff on the back. Imagine ringing that up and saying, "You won't believe what the inside of this manual tells me, because these controls don't match up on the main game itself, because the controls on this manual on the inside that they have stuck in here are for Sonic the Hedgehog." That's right, the manual inside of here is actually Sonic the Hedgehog. There's the Van Helsing cover, and there's the text on the inside. So I have no idea what was going through their minds. What were they thinking when they thought, we'll just put the manual for Sonic the Hedgehog in here? It is unreal. I cannot believe that. Imagine playing through Van Helsing wondering, when do I get to control Knuckles? When do I get to control Knuckles? This is absolutely crazy. I have no idea what were they thinking. Maybe they thought, you know what? Every video game plays the same, right? We don't have the manual for Van Helsing. We can't get that. We pretty much figure we've got away with incorrect images on the back of the box. We probably got away with that. We'll just put anything in the manual. As long as there's a manual, people will be happy. And then any game plays like Sonic anyway, doesn't it? You're playing Resident Evil. That plays like Sonic. You play Tomb Raider, that plays like Sonic. You play Van Helsing, plays exactly like Sonic. Every game plays like Sonic. We'll put the Sonic manual in. No one will know the ruddy difference. I cannot believe this. It's unreal. I've never seen anything this bad at all when it comes to a fake game. So I hope you enjoy seeing that, guys. This is amazing. It's so bad, it's good. It's like the Power Glove. So there you go. Now we're playing with power with Van Helsing. I hope you enjoyed watching this. It gave me a good laugh. I hope it gave you a good laugh. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like or a comment to let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. And if you'd like to, you can also support me through Patreon or YouTube channel membership. Once again, thank you for watching. I've been MVL, and I will catch you next time.